Defining rules for your teenage children is about creating a clear, understandable framework for their behavior and responsibilities. Now, it starts with making sure the rules are specific and you leave no room for confusion. They should be relevant to put your teenagers or their individual needs and their circumstances they face. Now, involving your teenager in creating these rules is a great way to make them feel like they have a say and understand why the rules are there. It's crucial to clarify, communicate the rules and the reasons behind them. Now, they say consistency is key. Enforcing the rule consistency helps maintain their effectiveness. Also, remember to regularize their review and adjust the rules as teenagers grow and their needs, they tend to change. Now, by defining these rules, you offer structure, encourage what people see and know as responsibility, and you build a foundation, yes, a very strong foundation for that open communication and most especially mutual respect. Hello and welcome to Inside Today. I am Jumai Manson. Don't go anywhere. The program continues shortly. Stay tuned. Human angle topic on family, marriage, peer pressure, drug and substance abuse, societal issues, women and children, and so much more. Now, it's crucial to approach these subjects with empathy and understanding. These issues often intertwine with societal norms and can lead to tough conversations. It is important to create a safe space for dialogue where individuals can share their experiences without fear or judgment. I am Jumai Manson. Join me every Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays on the program Inside Today on Global Television. You're welcome back, and if you're just tuning in, this is Inside Today on Global Television. Now, today, like I mentioned, I said we're going to be looking at a very important issue. It's all about you as a parent, a guardian. You define the rules and you set clear expectations on your teenage children. I am not doing it alone. I am being joined by Amara Chidima Ezediniru. She is a workforce optimization expert, and when it has to do with family counseling and family as a whole, she is an expert on that particular area. And you have to look at the basic needs when it comes to you as an individual, as a parent, when you set clear expectations. You know, people forget to ensure that there's something called family rules. That's the values, the morals of family, that standard in which you set for your children to imbibe and follow, making them, responsible individuals and having a basic mutual respect when it comes to owning up to things, when it comes to being reliable, when it comes to taking that sole responsibility. And on the program, we'll be looking at this very important and yet a subtle approach in you as a parent, where you define the rules and you set that clear expectations for your teenage children to imbibe in. And I mentioned before that I am being joined by Amara Chidima Ezediniru. She's a workforce family optimization expert, and she'll tell us more, and not the parents or guardians that set a particular standard and then they do something and teach the children, or will I say teenage children, another thing. It has to be clear-cut boundaries and what you should follow, imbibe, and also live to become responsible. Let's go on a quick break. The program continues shortly. Stay tuned. All right, you're welcome back, and my amazing, beautiful guest, Amara Chidima Ezediniru. She is a workforce optimization expert and, of course, a family coach, and she is here with me via Zoom on the program. Hi, Amara. How are you doing today?
Hello, Julie. I'm good, and you?
I am fine, and it's great to have you on the program. Thank you for making out time, despite your very busy schedule. Thank you so much.
It's always a pleasure.
Now talking about this very sensitive topic, when you define rules and clear-cut expectations. Now, what are the most important values as a parent, as a guardian, a caregiver, you want to instill in your teenager?
Okay, Julie, I will take you a bit back because you have jumped the horse, I think. First, we need to talk about why there should be rules. Why do rules matter? Everybody should know that rules are important. And the reason is because it creates structure. It creates what we call structure. Everybody should live within a structure. It's called boundary. Otherwise, you are going to likely be experiencing what we call chaos or chaotic life. Rules provide boundaries that give everyone a sense of safety and responsibility. And for young children, for teenagers, and even younger children, they thrive on structure. They need safety, they need responsibility, and therefore, they have to realize that that's the reason they are giving rules. Rules matter. I'll repeat it. Rules matter. Not just for the young child, even for you, even for me. And so if they understand this, then it's easy for them to follow the rules. In trying to pass these rules to them, it's important that you focus on clarity. I usually say that clarity is key. Be specific. Instead of saying to a child, behave yourself, tell the child, be home by 6 p.m. Tell the child, finish your food and take your plates to the kitchen. Instead of saying random things like, are you okay? Don't you know this is what, how do we say, behave yourself? Are you out of your, don't you think, and stuff like that. Those generic, ambiguous kind of loopholes that we create that makes clarity become blurred. It's important that we are specific when we are talking to our teenagers, and it's something we can start practicing. The typical Nigerian parents is not usually clear. We use sarcasm. We hide a whole lot of things, with sarcasm. And a lot of times it creates confusion for the children. Another thing I want to talk about when you are defining rules and doing all that for the children is you have to think about consistency. You don't say this today and change it tomorrow. Inconsistency confuses everybody, especially the teenagers, and it weakens authority. You have to be consistent with teenager A and consistent with teenager B. You have to enforce rules fairly and consistently. So if you say, I expect my teenagers to be home by 6, then your sister's children come around. They are also teenagers, and then you relax the rule and you give your whatever excuses you are giving. Are you being fair? You have to be sure that you are consistent. Consistency helps to build trust between you and these teenagers. Another thing that is very, very important is involving the children when it comes to rule making. Don't be this taskmaster, this high-handed man or woman that stays where he or she is and dishes out these rules. Let the people you're making the rules for be part of it. Remember, you have told them that rules help them with being safe and with being responsible. You have told them that rules provide structure, provide boundaries. You have told them that even you as an adult, you're keeping rules. Therefore, now they know that rules are important. Get them involved. Start asking them things like, if you don't want to be molested on the road at night, like the stories we hear, what should you do? They will tell you, well, come back home early. And you say, okay, what time do you think would be safe for teenagers to be home? They will start suggesting 8 o'clock, 7 o'clock. Then you're saying to them, why 7, why 8, why 6? Before you know it, everybody would agree on what time they should be there. So involve them.
I want to interject a little bit here. I really need to interject. Now, at what age can we start, defining that rules, that expectations? I know we've spoken at length when it comes to what these rules are, how it affects you and I, individuals. But I really need to know, at what age? Is it from the early teenage years, or at what point do we allow these teenagers understand that there's something called rules, regulation, expectations, requirements they have to meet?
Actually, you don't wait until they become teenagers. Actually, you wait from even 1 year old. We teach boundaries as soon as some people even tell me that we do it before the children turn around. But I'll just take from 1 year old. As soon as the child starts developing what we call self-awareness, you start talking about the rules. And so the rules start getting stiffer as they get older, because they are aware, they have more self-awareness than as they grow, so the rules start getting stiffer. So yes, don't wait until they become teenagers. The reason I'm talking about teenagers is because that's our focus, and should for any reason you have teenagers that you did not raise come to you, or you find yourself in a teenagers boot camp and all of that, then you can start from where I talked about. Give them reasons for having rules. Again, also, as they grow, you must keep expanding and reiterating the reasons for giving rules.
Now, what specific behaviors, or will I say actions, are unacceptable in, let's say in households, for instance, that it imbibes in other households that are unacceptable when it comes to rules and, of course, expectations?
This is a very tricky one, because every household is guided by what we call values. Values, in simple terms, are things that are important to you. Okay, so every household has what we call their values, what is important to them as a household. If, for example, my household, we only do science subjects, we are only doctors, then you come and say you want to be a musician, they will say no. It's an abomination. This cannot happen. You guys are, musicians are riffraffs and stuff like that. Okay? And they make the rules. So your values are what's important. Okay? In a household where respect is important, integrity is important, responsibility, honesty, anything outside this will be a problem for them. So the first thing I always tell households is define what is your family values. What is it that you guys that important? Some households will be going to church. Everybody must go to church. If you don't go to church, it's a problem. In some households, they don't go to church. And so it's not a problem for them whether you go to church or not. Some households you must eat on the dining table. You must be prim and proper. In some households they eat on their beds and it's okay. So define your values. Every family must define their values. Thank you.
Now, looking at this critically, in order to, they say the teen years are the most crucial, critical years of a child's life. You have to learn to bring them together, be a friend. At the same time, you set rules and you set your boundaries. Now, how can parents or guardians involve their teenagers in the rule-making process in their own household?
Okay, I'm going to disagree a bit with saying that the teenage years are the most critical and all that. I honestly think the teenage years are the times to remake what you missed before they became teenagers.
Okay.
Right? You are supposed to do all of that before they turn into teenagers. But if you missed it, that's your second opportunity. You miss it, you have missed it. And if that is the case, you're supposed to be involving your children from the beginning. I remember when my children were really young, 4, 5, and I would say, we don't play with the door. One of the rules in the house was we don't play with the door. One of the rules was that we don't watch the television after 7 o'clock because they have to go to bed because there's school tomorrow. So they are involved in rulemaking from the time they are younger, and the rules change as they grow because, like I said, they are becoming self-aware. What works for a 12-year-old will not work for a 17-year-old. So as they are getting older, at 13 you were sorting their clothes for them. At 15, 16, 17 they are dressing the way they like. So you now have to give the rules. Okay, so when you were younger, I was in charge of your wardrobe. I decided what you wore. Now you are 17, you feel you have straight legs, you feel you have everything and you want to bring out all your body. So you have to change the rules for them. Okay? Remember, the rules are tied to the values the family has. So if a family does not have values, please don't go for rules first. No, you're missing it. You're putting the cart before the horse, or how do they say it? Mm-hmm. So the first thing is everybody needs to know this is our family values. In our family, these things are important to us. Right? Then how do we enforce our values? We now put rules to enforce them.
Yes. So Amara, so values now, you have to set a value, like the values that the family will imbibe in before rules follow, right?
Absolutely. Your family values must be clear to you. And remember, values are the things that are important to you. You can't say our family values is integrity and right in front of your children, somebody calls you and you tell the person, oh, I'm in Washington, and your children are looking at you, you're in Abuja, but you're lying to that person. So you can't come and tell them later.
Mm-hmm. So in all, like I mentioned at the beginning of the preamble when I introduced the program, I said it's very important that we understand responsibility and respect, because I was discussing this particular topic with a colleague of mine, and he said, well, Jumai, expectations when guardians, caregivers, they tend to say A and then they tell their children B. So you as a parent, as a guardian, you have to be the example, the mirror in which they see the right, the ways you make your decisions, how upright you are, all of those things you want them to have as values before you can set out rules in which they will turn and grow up with and follow to become responsible individuals in the society, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. You have to walk the talk. Exactly. You cannot telling them do as I say. They do as you do, not as I say. That's right.
Do as you do. I like that. Now, looking at setting, defining rules and of course expectations. Now, what happens to consequences? Sometimes as a parent, as a guardian, you can overlook when rules are broken, when values are broken also. So what do you do when it comes to what are the consequences that one can put up front for breaking the rules? Should you be consistent with it, or you can just allow some things slide? We're all humans.
Nothing slides, please. Nothing slides. Remember I mentioned that consistency builds trust. If you tell a child, for example, that if you clear your results, you get all A's. I'm not talking about position. I'm not saying if you come first. I'm saying you clear your scores, your subjects. You get all A's. You are going to go to Dubai for holiday for a week. It's important that the child does her part, you do your part. If the child does not do her part, and the rest of the family members have done their part, leave her in Nigeria and go to Dubai with the rest. If you dare take her alongside with you to Dubai, you are causing confusion in her neurology. In her subconscious mind that stores information and stores experiences, which means that she can always cut corners. And this is part of what we see in Nigeria that make people have what I call entitlement mentality. If you break the rule, the consequences should follow. The only thing is that at the point of making the rule, you need to mind the consequences. You're not going to tell a child and make a rule that if you tell a lie, we'll cut off your finger, for example. All right. So at the point of making the rule is when you're supposed to firm up your consequences. Make sure that your consequences are for correction, not punitive consequences. All right. So once you deal with that, the consequences must be corrective. Please, once the child goes against the rules, deliberately or not, the consequences have to follow. What we can negotiate might be the duration of the consequences. If, for example, okay, if you come home late by 7 o'clock, you are going to be locked up indoors. You're not going to go out for 3 days. We can negotiate it to 2 days or 1 day, because the reason that kept the child out late was not the child's fault. The child will still have to go through the consequences, just that the consequences might be reduced.
Exactly.
Why? So the child knows that whether it's your fault or not, if you jump into the road, a car will hit you. So a car will not stop, because if you put your hand in fire, it's going to burn you, whether somebody puts it or you put it yourself. So everybody needs to remember the consequences would happen, whether you were forced or you were not forced. I hope that makes sense.
You know what? I'm glad you actually addressed them when it comes to curfews and social activities where you can actually negotiate, because they're teenagers. As much as you're setting rules and setting expectation boundaries, there should be a little bit of independence for them to grow. Now, quickly now, because of our time, now this particular issue of technology and social use, how do you balance the equation with teenagers? Because it is a major problem before we wrap it up on the program.
The same thing, whether it's technology, whether it's social media, whether it's television, there is time for everything under the sun. I have said it earlier and I'll reiterate it. If you haven't set these boundaries as the children were growing up, you have their teenage time to undo or redo, right? Everybody needs to know that there is time for everything.
There's a second chance.
I had a friend that once it was 9 o'clock in their home, everybody put their phone in a box. Everybody, and go to bed. 9 o'clock. All right? But that's something that a lot of parents will not do, including the owner of the house, the man. Everybody puts their phone down. So nobody continues browsing till midnight. Okay, so you have to let people know that there is time for everything. When I'm eating, when it's family time, for example, we're all on the table eating and talking family things, phones away. When it's time to study, no, just know that, part of this I said, it's teaching people time management, teaching people self-discipline, self-control. They're all part of the values and part of the rules. It's not just, talking about this for 15 minutes. We have to be committed to expecting changes.
Exactly. Now, Amara, quickly now, in 4 seconds, for a family out there who have never set values when it comes to rules, when it comes to, the family morals that one must follow, in 3 seconds now, how is it too late?
No, it's not too late, but you may not be able to do it alone, so get help. Get a coach if possible. Get help ASAP.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Amara Chidima Ezediniru. Of course, she is a workforce optimization expert. Thank you so much for being a part of Insight today. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Bye.
All right. Looking at this particular issue in summary, now setting clear expectations for your teenage children through that well-defined rules is essential for development. Now, these rules should be specific, relevant, and establish collaboratively. Consistent communication, enforcement, and periodic review are crucial for their effectiveness. Now, this approach fosters responsibility, open communications, yes, negotiations, mutual respect, ultimately guiding your teenagers towards responsible adulthood. Very important. All right, hope you've learned one or two from the program today. Thank you all so much for being a part of the program. I am Jumai Manson, and thank you so much once again to Amara Chidima Ezediniru. She is a workforce optimization expert. Have an amazing day ahead. Bye-bye. Human angle topic on family, marriage, peer pressure, drug and substance abuse, societal issues, women and children, and so much more. Now, it's crucial to approach these subjects with empathy and understanding. These issues often intertwine with societal norms and can lead to tough conversations. It is important to create a safe space for dialogue where individuals can share their experiences without fear or judgment. I am Jumai Manson. Join me every Monday